So today I am going to give a final tour of my west bed and discuss an important garden design tip. Welcome to my garden. Hi everyone, my name is Lynn and I garden in Central Texas in a rural burb north of Austin. I've been gardening for over 20 years and this is the fourth garden I have created / designed from the dirt up. So prior to designing a space or having a space design, it is important to think about the space, how the space will be used, not just today, but also moving forward. Prior to creating this west bed, I saw a need for privacy. We have wrought iron fencing, and our neighbor's home, it faces our backyard. So the back of their house faces our backyard. So not a lot of privacy. If I want to walk into the yard in my pajamas with coffee in hand, I would have zero privacy. So feeling like I'm in a fish bowl, it is just not for me. So due to the 12-foot gate we already added, and knowing that at some point, some big landscaping materials, if we decided we wanted to put a pool in the backyard, which we aren't doing, we knew that the beds could not impede equipment from going into our yard. And that is why this West Planter bed is 12 feet in depth. And so I kind of have it divided into 6 feet in depth for the evergreens for privacy and 6-inch in depth for perennials, etc. So walking through the gate, one cannot miss this Summertime Blues Vitex. It's a Vitex chase tree. Some people call it a chase tree. This large shrub actually began losing its leaves this month. It is one of 3 that I grow. The growth rate of this chase tree has been astonishing. So in warm climates, it's supposed to be 8 to 10 feet in height and 4 to 5 feet in width. And let's just say I planted it June of last year, so it's been in my garden for about a year and a half. Today is December 24th. And so the 8 to 10 feet in height, it's there already in a year and a half. However, the width, this is nowhere near 4 to 5 feet in width. So just a word of caution, if you're interested in this lovely Vitex chase tree in warmer climates, it is probably going to become a lot wider than what is placed on the website of the grower and the tags. For example, mine is at least 10 feet in width, probably closer to 12 feet in width. So if you buy one and you plant it, beware. I don't think this chase tree got the memo. However, I wanted the privacy, so we can say it understood the assignment. So I will remove some of the lower limbs during late winter just to keep its branches off of the ground, so ground level. Like this was a 3-gallon plant when it went into my garden, so all this growth has occurred, like I said, in a year and a half. A side note regarding this plant, it is one of the most drought-tolerant plants in my garden. When it is in bloom, it has gorgeous lavender blue, deer-resistant and drought-tolerant flowers on it. The leaves have a nice fragrance as well. I actually have a video where I feature drought-tolerant plants and I go over my experience with the Summertime Blues Vitex during the extreme water restrictions we had here in Central Texas in 2023. So if you're new or returning to my channel, please click subscribe and notifications or like. I have a vision for this space, our yard, my garden, and I think the best of it is yet to come. So if you click notifications, anytime I upload a video or provide an update or just new information, I have a lot of plants on order for the spring, you'll be notified and watch me transform this space. So one goal was to provide evergreen interest in 4 seasons of a 4 season garden is my goal. And so the fence line has Texas privets as well as the kindly privets. The kindly privets are non-invasive. And so these are my evergreens that I planted for privacy. And they are dappled along my fence line. And all along the front of this west planter bed, I have sprinter boxwoods. I added a bunch of 1 gallon and 3 quart sprinters. Um, and unfortunately, I turned off my auto irrigation a little bit too soon this year. And the weather being as neurotic as it can be in my area, it became a bit colder. The plants may have been a little dehydrated, and then the sun came out and burned the tips of some of these sprinter boxwoods. For comparison, here are my sprinters in the front yard that receive water prior to the temperature drops. They're growing in part sun and they look absolutely great. So these trees are Muskogee crepe myrtles. This one has green leaves that emerge in early spring, and by late spring, gorgeous lavender pink flowers appear. In the fall, the leaves turn a lovely brilliant orange. And by late fall in my area, this tree loses its leaves, as you can see all over the ground here. And as it matures, and mine are new, mine are 2-year-old plants, but as they continue to mature, the bark will peel away and reveal a lovely, lovely shade of cinnamon colored trunks. Some of these will be very sculptural and they create visual interest in the winter. So the Muskogee crepe myrtle, it is a 4 season of interest tree. It doesn't have many issues, so we'll get spots of aphids and a little scale, but nothing major. All of my Muskogee crepe myrtles are growing in full sun, and ultimately it will form a medium-sized tree of about 20 to 25 feet in height and about 10 feet in width. So dappled throughout this bed, there are various pink roses behind the boxwood. I have cathedral bells, Clotilde Super, Belinda's Dream, Souvenir de Louis Amade, just to name a few. And that falls in line with my overall theme of pink, blue, and purple. None of these roses are in bloom right now. A couple have buds on them. They just finished blooming. Many of them did over the past 2-3 weeks. There are 2 Blue Point junipers in this bed. They have lovely silver blue leaves. These plants have been kind of finicky for me, finicky starts. But what I have discovered is that they really needed to be planted about 2 inches above the soil line when you plant them in clay, hard clay, and watered infrequently but deeply to begin with. So many of the plants, when you first plant them, they say don't let them dry out, give them regular watering with some kind of frequency. That's not what these need. They need deep watering, let it dry out, water it again once it dries out, slow deep watering. So these plants are great for smaller spaces. They will become about 8 to 12 feet in height, 3 to 6 feet in width. The one you see right now was a 2-gallon plant that has been in my garden for about a year. The next plant, and it's dormant right now because the Vitexes, with the exception of a summertime blues that I do not have on irrigation at all, and it's growing in part sun, they have all lost their flowers and leaves. And this busy bee Vitex is no exception. However, when it is flowering, it has lovely smallish purple flowers that begin about June through fall. This particular variety has a reputation for setting fewer seeds than many other varieties. So many of you can grow this plant as it is hardy down to a zone 5. Like most Vitex trees, they prefer full sun, but here in Central Texas, where we get a lot of sun and a lot of heat, they do okay actually in part shade. I have two varieties of Vitex that I grow in part sun, I should say, and they're doing just fine. So this is another plant in my, I would call this is a formal bed. So boxwoods in the front, evergreens in the back, with a couple of trees and roses dotted in between. The next plant is the Henry Dulberg salvia. It is a large salvia, becoming about 4 feet in height. It is a Texas superstar. I have two of them. So one on each side of the purple fragrantia rose that's still in active growth. But both of these are coming out. They are Texas superstars, but they haven't been superstars for me in my garden. The growth is just far too gangly, and I much prefer the Mystic Spire salvia to the Henry Dulberg, and both are Texas superstars. So this bag, created for privacy, basically has 3 layers of plants. I have evergreens all along the perimeter for privacy, and then throughout this bed I have flowering trees, shrubs. I actually have I think 4 sage advice, Russian sage, roses dotted about for color. And towards the front, I have low-growing evergreens, so sprinter boxwoods for structure. So this is my west bed. It definitely skews formal. I have 4 seasons of interest. I have my evergreens for privacy, and I look forward to watching everything grow and fill in. Thanks for watching.